if you like what the UK column is doing, then please support us for £5 a month. That's membership. Basically allows us to do what we're doing. We want more people on board so that we can expand and produce more material. So if you can bring in others, that would be wonderful. Of course, the material we produce, we want it to be shared. We're trying hard on many platforms to do that. Facebook still doesn't like us, so we'll say we're shadow banned there. You can also help us by making a purchase in the shop. And if you haven't been to the UK column shop, then please visit. It's for everybody. You don't have to be a member to make a purchase. And we'd still like to say we do have copies of Agenda 21, Your Life in Their Hands, still available. And we're getting such tremendous feedback from this first glossy brochure. There will be more. So if you want more, then please make sure you have bought one of these first editions. Now, tomorrow at 1 o'clock, we've got discussing the second climate masterclass. This was a very popular initiative which Mike Robinson set up, and it's been so popular that the second climate masterclass is being introduced there at 1 o'clock tomorrow. We'd also like to say we're getting really excited for the 19th of October in Bristol for the UK column on location. We've got some great speakers coming in. We've got Piers Robinson, David Miller, Peter Ford, Bob Moran, the cartoonist, Ahmed Malik, Katie Jo Murphy, Claire Wills Harrison, and there are more which we will announce. So if you haven't got a ticket, please buy one and come and join us. And yes, we do look forward to meeting and speaking with as many people as we can. What else have we got? We've got UK column at the International Centre for 9/11 Justice, Aviation Impossibilities, deconstructing the official story of the 9/11 hijackings and air defence failures. And that'll be going out Sunday, September the 8th, 6 to 10 p.m. BST. So watch out for that. And what does that take us to? Oh, yes, the Heritage Party are running a conference. They kindly invited Mike Robinson and myself to speak, which we're delighted to do. So that's Saturday, the 28th of September, and the venue is in Reading. It is a ticketed event, but you can go online and sort out the details for that for yourself. So, Diane, let's bring you back because you've got a little bit of an update, an important update on Fornethy.
Yes, Brian. So the fight for justice for Fornethy survivors, as well as for any survivors of historic child abuse in Scotland, continues. So I've got a media update as well as, I guess you could say, a parliamentary update. There's been some press in the last couple of weeks as a result, I think, of if you remember, well, I'm sure you remember the gutsy woman, Natasha, who you interviewed, who went in and explored the Fornethy House itself. So as a result of that, we have seen some press kind of following that while you were away, Brian. And this article in particular is an interview with Lynn Sheeran, who's one of the Fornethy survivors, who's been at the front of the campaign the whole time. Who I have to say right now is not watching today because she is in New York having a nice holiday, which is great. But she did talk about the building itself and the significance that it holds for the women as a result, I think, of the publicity that we got from Natasha and from our interview with her, saying the place should be bulldozed. It stands as a shrine to the abuse that hundreds of girls suffered there. It makes me sick knowing it's still there despite the abuse and all the years that have gone by. And we've got, evidence on the UK column website that has been written previously about the fact that the sale of Fornethy House itself was illegal because it was not supposed to be sold to a private individual when the school closed down, which it was by Glasgow City Council. So that is an illegal situation there. There's a group called Fornethy Voices on TikTok. I personally am not a TikTok fan, but if anyone out there is using TikTok, take a look at their Fornethy Voices channel. What's interesting is they've taken videos of the UK column content. If you can see on the next slide, please. There's videos of the content itself where they've actually just taken a video of the previous coverage and put it onto their TikTok, which I thought was a really interesting workaround to get the UK column content out there by using their video on their TikToks. Something that the women have done just very, very recently is they've put out this advert, which is along a road in Glasgow, asking if you were there at Fornethy, if you know anyone who attended, please contact us on our Facebook group so that you can join the campaign. So I think this is probably a positive step just to get more strength in numbers, which unfortunately they're going to need. I think there's some media out there, which I'll just cover myself, of what has happened. Here's something from STV. There's several articles out there about this, saying that basically what happened was earlier in the summer in June, the Petitions Committee at the Scottish Parliament had said that they were going to write unanimously in agreement back to the Deputy First Minister and the First Minister of Scotland, saying that they supported expanding the scheme for eligibility for redress, which again was something that I was able to contribute to by writing evidence to Scottish Parliament, saying that this should be access for everyone who was abused in care in Scotland, not just people who were there under certain circumstances or for certain periods of time. Unfortunately, Kate Forbes came back and rejected that call. So it will be interesting to see what happens with this, because what's happening is that the idea anyway was that the committee said if this is rejected by the First Minister, the Deputy First Minister, then we will try to bring it to the floor. I just want to read a little bit of what Kate Forbes said. So basically she said the same thing that Shona Robinson said several months ago when we first were in Parliament earlier this year. And she said, quote, she mentioned the so-called independent researchers report, which supported what her side of what was. No mention of my report. But she said, as the former Deputy First Minister set out to the committee, the existing eligibility criteria reflect the core purpose of the scheme, which was designed primarily for those vulnerable children who were in long-term care, often isolated with limited or no contact with their families, children who are resident on a short-term respite or holiday basis under arrangements involving their parents, such as those who attended Fornethy House. Again, it should be Fornethy Residential School, and she keeps using house, which is incorrect. We're not in that position. So, and she ignored everything, of course, that I had to say, as they have been doing all along. But so we see that the back and forth with what's going on, that basically the committee sees, well, we need to make this justice for everyone who was abused in care for accessing Redress Scotland scheme. And then we see Kate Forbes just passing it back. So the women thought they were making some progress, but now we're not so sure what's going to happen next. So we have to continue to put pressure on Scottish government. So Brian, I know you've been involved as well, so I don't know if you have any quick comments about this before we move on.
Well, Diane, thank you. I think it's really good to see that the Fornethy women are becoming ever more active in getting awareness of the case out. This is very important. And I think it's also good to see that their efforts are bringing in a response from other news sources, legacy news, but at least they're getting involved now. But how typical it is that the Scottish government is more concerned about money, how much money they'd have to pay out, than they are on the welfare of the women, or the hundreds, thousands of women who were abused at that location as little children. But of course, with Keir Starmer, they've now got a precedent, haven't they? Because we've got a Prime Minister who clearly does not have much respect for abuse victims, particularly children. So we've got to keep fighting to make sure that these women and other adults who've been abused as children in particular, that they receive the just recognition and the justice that they deserve. So we'll keep pushing.